Might be good.
We are live, and we will be using the alternative option.
Thank you very much. Good morning and welcome to the Berrien County Finance Committee meeting. I would like to ask Stephanie Carlson if she would call the roll, and I would ask you, committee, if you would say your name and where you're from or where you are. Thank you.
Commissioner Yarborough.
Present on Zoom from the city of Benton Harbor.
Commissioner Hinkleman.
Present in Waterloo.
Commissioner Scott.
Present. Zoom, New Buffalo Township.
Commissioner Freeling.
Present via Zoom, Baroda Township.
Thank you. Should we have all the people that are in the room in this meeting say who they are and who they are?
Sure, go ahead. Jake.
Jake Whitaker, open bids.
Thank you.
Stephanie Carlson, secretary.
Brian Stead.
Thank you. And you, Mr. Stack?
Kevin Stack, Road Department. Sorry.
Okay, thank you. Annette, would you help me with the agenda?
Yep, absolutely. So the first thing is this morning is going to be bid openings. You have 3 of them, all of them for the road department. And go ahead, Jake.
All right, so this first bid is 20.
Excuse me. Scott, I would like to ask if you would listen and make a report on this in the regular meeting.
I can do this.
Okay, thank you. Mr. Stack.
Okay, are you ready? Commissioner, is that okay to start opening?
Yes, please.
Thank you.
Okay, so the first bid is 2021-009. It's for cold patch pavement. We had 1 bid for it, and it is from Saginaw Asphalt Paving in Saginaw, Michigan.
Yes.
Their price per ton looks like it is different per each place. So Benton Harbor's price per ton is 104. Waterville Yard is 104. Eau Claire Yard is 105. Baroda Yard is 105. Three Oaks Yard is 107. And Bakertown Yard is 106. And that's the only bid for that one. Okay. The next bid is the corrugated metal pipe.
Hang on, Jake.
Oh, sorry.
I was just going to ask, do you want to do all of these together or do you want to do them individually?
I have a question before we go any further. Kevin Stack, is this per ton of just material that is delivered to the different yards, or is Saginaw Asphalt Paving putting it down, or is this just material?
This is just delivery of material to each garage. Our crews will put it down,
It's the price per ton and the delivery charge included.
all included in one.
Thank you.
Continue. Or are you saying you asked if you wanted it all red?
I didn't know if you wanted to do, because these are all for the road department, or if you want to do each one of them individually to forward them back to the road department, which is where they're going to go.
Madam Chair, I would suggest that you just do it individually.
Oh, there we go.
Okay, thank you.
Madam Chair, this is Commissioner Scott. I'll make
Yes,
a motion that we send bid 009 back to the road department, so they can check specifications and, using the road department motion.
Yes. May I have a support?
Support.
It's been properly moved and supported. Do you all have any other questions on that bid? Would you call the roll, please, Stephanie? Did you hear me? Will you call the roll?
Geez, sorry, I muted the room, my fault.
Oh, okay.
Go ahead.
Commissioner Yarborough,
Yes.
Commissioner Hinkleman,
Yes.
Commissioner Scott,
Yes.
Commissioner Freeling.
Yes.
The motion passes. Next opening.
All right, the next opening is 2021-010 for corrugated metal pipe, also the road department. We sent it to 4 people and 2 responded. This first one is Cadillac Culvert out of Cadillac, Michigan. Okay. Looks they have different diameters, so 12-inch aluminum is 929 a foot, and galvanized is 780 a foot. Yeah, there are a lot of options here. 15-inch pipe is 1130 for aluminum, 948 for galvanized. 18-inch is 1370 aluminum, 1155 galvanized. 24-inch is 2065 for aluminum, 2095 for galvanized. And that's for 16 gauge, and then there's also looks like 12-inch by 12-inch, which is 1616 for aluminum, 1347 galvanized. 15-inch by 12-inch is 1966. 12-inch, I'm assuming by foot. 1966 for aluminum, 1650 for galvanized. 18-inch is 2384 for aluminum, 2010 for galvanized, and 24-inch diameter is by 2 feet is 31 for aluminum and 31 galvanized.
Okay.
Okay, and then the other one is from Jensen Bridge out of Grand Rapids, Michigan. So their 12-inch 16 gauge is $8 per foot. 15-inch 16 gauge is $970 per foot. 18-inch 16 gauge is $11.99 a foot. 24-inch diameter 14 gauge is $19.99 a foot. And bands for spiral pipe, 12-inch by 1 foot is $13.60. 15-inch by 12 inches is $16.49. 18 inches by 12 inches is $20.38, and 24 by 24 is $38.98.
May I have a motion, please? Oh, no, is that it, isn't it? The 2 companies?
Yeah, those are the 2 companies.
May I have a motion, please? To accept it?
Madam Chair, this is Commissioner Freeling. I would make a motion that we send these bids back to the road department to vet them based on our standard motion language that we make for road department bids.
Okay. May I have support, please?
Madam Chair, this is Commissioner Scott. I'll support that motion.
Thank you. Any other questions? Stephanie, would you call the roll, please?
Commissioner Yarborough,
Yes?
Commissioner Hinkleman,
Yes.
Commissioner Scott,
Yes.
Commissioner Freeling.
Yes.
Motion carries. Thank you. Are there more? Is there one more?
One more bid, yep. This is bid 2021-11 for dense graded aggregates. We sent it to 8 people and 4 people responded. This first one is Stoneco out of Middleville, Michigan.
Commissioner Freeling.
What is it? We're getting dense what?
Dense graded aggregates.
Thank you.
Alright, so they have, the Benton Harbor yard is $10.25 per ton. The Waterville yard is $9.25 a ton. Eau Claire yard is $10.75 per ton. Baroda yard is $12.25 per ton. Three Oaks yard is $13.25 a ton. And Bakertown yard is $12.75 a ton. There's an alternate bid down below that has Baroda area. It has all of them: Baroda, Eau Claire, Benton Harbor, Waterville, Three Oaks, and Niles, all at $5.35 per ton. And then there's page 2. It looks like this is for different amounts.
Jake, the first one you just read was 22A.
Yes.
The
Okay.
second one's gonna be 23A, that you're about to read.
Yep. Don't have to read?
You do have to read.
Okay. So second one's 23A, like you said. Benton Harbor yard is $10.25 a ton. Waterville yard is $9.25 per ton. Eau Claire yard is $10.75 per ton. Baroda yard is $12.25 per ton. Three Oaks yard is $13.25 per ton. Bakertown yard is $12.75 per ton. And then the alternate bid below for that is Baroda, Eau Claire, Benton Harbor, Waterville, Three Oaks, and Niles Buchanan all have a price per ton of $5.35. The second bid for this is
Jake,
yep.
it's Commissioner Scott. When you're doing these bids like that and you're opening them, since we started with 22A, start all of your bids with the price for 22A.
Okay. The second bid is from Michiana Aggregates out of Niles, Michigan. And then going through the prices for 22A, the Benton Harbor yard is $8.89 per ton. Waterville yard is $9.62 per ton. Eau Claire is $8.66 per ton. Baroda is $8.86 per ton. Three Oaks yard is $9.32 per ton. Bakertown yard is $8.17 per ton. And then the alternate bid below for all of them has a price of $6 per ton. And then moving on to 23A, the Benton Harbor yard is $9.43 per ton. Waterville is $10.32 per ton. Eau Claire yard is $9.24 per ton. Baroda is $9.36 per ton. Three Oaks is $9.82 per ton. Bakertown is $8.67 per ton. And the alternate bid for these is $6.50 for all of them. Next is Hollerbach Excavating out of Stevensville, Michigan. On 22A, Benton Harbor is $9.95 per ton. Waterloo is $10.15 per ton. Eau Claire is $8.75 per ton. Baroda is $9.30 per ton. Three Oaks is $10.70 per ton. Bakertown is $9.30 per ton. And there is no alternate bid. And then on 23A, Benton Harbor is $10.48 per ton. Waterloo is $10.15 per ton. Eau Claire is $8.75 per ton. Baroda is $9.80 per ton. Three Oaks is $11.20 per ton. Bakertown is $9.80 per ton. And again, no alternate bid. And the last bid for this is Kalin Construction out of Sodus. Okay, for 22A, the Benton Harbor Yard is $10.51 per ton. Waterloo is $11.10 per ton. Eau Claire is $9.60 per ton. Baroda is $11.85 per ton. Three Oaks is $12.44 per ton. Bakertown is $10.66 per ton. Also no alternate bid. 23A, Benton Harbor is $10.81 per ton. Waterloo is $11.40 per ton. Eau Claire is $9.90 per ton. Baroda is $12.15 per ton. Three Oaks is $12.74 per ton. Bakertown Yard is $10.96 per ton, and no alternate bid.
Madam Chair, this is Commissioner Scott. I'll make a motion that we send this back to the road department. Their study on this, I should say, and to follow the rest of the road department motion. But afterwards, I do have a question for Kevin Stack.
Okay. And may I have a support, please?
Support.
It's been moved and properly supported. I would like to ask, why does it have an alternate bid? What does that mean, Kevin?
The alternate bid allows our trucks to go into the gravel yards if they have a certified scale to pick up material if we need an emergency that they're closer to than rather than coming back to the garage.
Oh, okay. All right. Do you want to ask your question now, or we want to finish the motion, Mr. Scott?
We already had a motion and a second, so.
I know.
By Commissioner Freeling, so.
Okay. So would you call the roll, please?
Hold, Madam Chair, I
Yes,
have a question. I have a question to Kevin Stack.
that's what I wanted to know. Do you want to ask it before we take the final vote?
Oh, yes. Oh, yes.
Yeah, okay.
Kevin, I have how does this work with the road department for bids that were given for 22A and 23A, but they do not have a price for if you were going to pick it up in an emergency? Am I led to believe that in an emergency, let's say Hollerbach for 22A for the Benton Harbor garage would still be $9.95, whereas you can see Michiana Aggregate was $2.89 less for a pickup. You see what I'm saying? So how does that work when you
So are you comparing the numbers of what they're charging for us to go to the yard to pick up versus what they're going to deliver it for?
Right. And what I'm saying, exactly. But what I'm saying is that when you have, let's say that one of these bids were less on the delivery, okay, but they didn't have a pickup price. So the pickup price is going to be the same as the delivery price. Is that correct?
No, so if there is no alternate price for pickup, we cannot award a contract to them. If they do not bid any price for the alternate, they cannot be awarded a contract for the alternate. But if they are low bid in the material to deliver to us, we can award it to them.
Okay,
That
that
kind
was
of
my
help clarify
question
that?
because,
Just to clarify, there is very seldom chance that we ever use that alternate bid. It is there as a placeholder in case, 2018 flood, if we had to have 500 tons in a hurry, and they can't get us trucks and we don't have anywhere else, we can send ours to go get it. But we very rarely, I don't think in my 6 years have we ever used that.
all right, well, that was my question, and I think you understand why, because I was like,
Yeah, so the
Because they
difference
didn't-
is they can haul it to us at 50 tons at a time. We can only haul it at 10 tons a time. So the cost will go up significantly if we have to haul all that material with our staff.
all right, because I didn't understand if that was part of the actual bid, the RFP for the bid, because see, we don't actually see that in finance. So that's why I asked the questions. Thank you. That makes it understandable for me.
Okay. Any other questions? Stephanie, would you call the roll, please?
Commissioner Yarborough,
Yes.
Commissioner Hinkleman,
Yes.
Commissioner Scott,
Yes.
Commissioner Freeling.
Yes.
Thank you. The motion carries. Do you have anything else you'd like to ask Kevin Stack? And then that completes our bid opening. Thank you, Jack Lydecker. Thank you both. Thank you, Kevin. Our next item.
All right, before we head to the next item, I'm gonna go ahead and share my screen so we can at least get this information out there to the public. I will leave this up during the discussion with Doug James, which is the next portion of your meeting.
Okay.
For the members of the public who are watching this meeting on YouTube, the chat option on YouTube is not working. So to participate in public comments with the Berrien County Finance Committee meeting, viewers will need to go to the website zoom.us, or they can use the Zoom app if they have that on their computer or their phone. The information that you would need to participate via Zoom is on the screen, meeting ID and the passcode. The public comments that you would be offering would be provided in the chat box, and then they will be read aloud. The other option for that is if you're unable to do it through Zoom, you can send an email to my email address, akrieger@berriencounty.org, and we will make sure that those comments are read as part of public comments. So I will leave that up to give people some time to get that information and then turn it over to Doug and Brian.
And Doug and Brian are going to talk to us about the request for waiver.
Yeah, Madam Chair, I'm going to have Doug go ahead and start talking about the file that he sent over to the Finance Committee, and it looks like it was sent on Friday. Once Annette pulls down the screen share, I'll then display the file that Doug's going to talk with the Finance Committee about. So Doug will go ahead and get started, and in just a few seconds I'll put the file up for everyone to see.
Okay, good morning.
Good morning.
We had sent to you and discussed a week ago, I believe it was, a request for waiver of competitive bidding form that we had come up with that would try to talk about that would address each of the particular circumstances in which you would not go out for competitive bid. This form was to be a document that could be submitted by the individual department, coming up through organizationally, and then asking for that waiver. It would also be required that the individual or the county administrator would take a look at it, and then the finance committee would also approve it. The waiver form, which I think they're trying to put up on the web right now for you, so that you can see it again.
Sorry, that's okay.
Also talks about in bold, under each of the specific subjects, in bold, what the actions are that are actions to be required in order to fit within that category, and what they must do. Right now, we had thrown a number out there of 25,000 for goods or goods, and then for anything like services, something like contractual services or professional services of some type, it would be 50,000. I did go back and look at some other counties, and this is what I did not see anything where the county had a specific amount where you would say that you would not do it competitively or in some form or fashion. But I will tell you that when I took a look at these different counties, they say that purchases shall be by formal invitation to bid or RFP or some type of negotiation. And the counties are as follows. Kent County is $50,000 and over. Livingston County is $25,000. Ottawa is $20,000. Kalamazoo is $20,000. Ingham is $25,000. Calhoun is $20,000. So there's a little bit of a range there, but for the most part, with the exception of Kent County, it pretty much runs in the $20,000 to $25,000 range, where they say there must be some kind of a competitive bid process, not just obtaining quotes, but you would go through the formal invitation to bid and the bid opening and so forth. So my question, I guess, is there anything that you see that we need to do here that would be different? What are your feelings on this?
Commissioner?
Madam Chair, this is Commissioner Scott. I guess I'll start the process out. I have a problem with some of this, with not going by our bidding policy or our purchasing policy. And I will use today's requisition list as my example. Okay? On today's requisition list, 49709, Wolf Divers Supply for quick glove, glacier undergarment, and Arctic socks, $9,628. Okay? I have been to every finance committee meeting that we've had, except when I was on vacation in Utah in September. Why is this being single sourced? Did this come before the finance committee to get approved bids? Did we have a bid opening? And was Wolf Divers Supply awarded the bids?
The answer to your question is no, it did not come before the Finance Committee for a bid opening. Our current policy doesn't necessarily state a specific amount at which you would go out and do some type of competitive bidding, which is a problem with our policy today. And we're working to fix that and provide some more distinct dollar amounts that you would need to do some of this. As far as why we went sole source on this, I don't know that I have an answer for that for you right now. This would also fall below a dollar threshold for competitive bidding process that we were talking about.
And
It would fall
that's what concerns me, because I guess my pie eye in the sky deal is, I believe that a county commissioner's most biggest job is to be fiscally responsible with the taxpayers' money. And if we're allowing department heads or electeds to just go out and buy things because it's in their budget and not realize what it is, what is the difference between a bid such as the Wolf Divers supply for almost $10,000 versus $6,000 or $7,000 for folders for the courts who have to go before a competitive bid process? And these are the things that I don't understand. So under this new sole sourcing or single source or emergency or technical specialized consulting services or grant designated vendor goods and services, or using an existing agreement, what you're telling me is this Wolf Divers supply doesn't even apply to the form that you're presenting with us today. It doesn't fit into any one of those categories. And if it does, why isn't the finance department advised of these things? That's my question, Madam Chair.
Good question.
Madam Chair.
Sorry.
Oh,
Can I
go ahead.
really quick, I'm hearing that we're getting a lot of echoes on the YouTube feed. So if you're not speaking, if you could please mute yourselves so that we try to eliminate that. Thank you. Go ahead, Commissioner Freeling, I'm sorry.
No worries. Thank you. Madam Chair, I just wanted to talk about this form. I really appreciate the work that Doug and his staff have done to generate this. The threshold, I would be more comfortable if we were in the 20,000, but I think we're kind of putting the cart before the horse with regards to that, because we do need to finish the conversation of the purchasing policy.
Yes.
I kind of dug around a little bit myself of looking at different counties of what policies are out there. I landed on Ottawa counties, and I found it very interesting because they had different thresholds, similar to what Doug is talking about, of, if it's $1 to $999, they have a procedure and a process for that. 1,000 up to 19,999 requires quotes of 3 quotes to be presented. After that threshold, then it goes into the competitive bid. And certainly with regards to contracts for services, they had a different process for it. So I think that this form is absolutely going to be beneficial moving forward. I don't know that I'm 100% sold on the dollar amounts that trigger that threshold to use this form.
Madam Chair. Madam Chair, is it okay to address the committee?
She's saying yes. I think she's muted.
Oh, okay.
Yes, she can't unmute, figure it out, so.
Okay. So today's rec list is a good example of what we're trying to improve. So the Sheriff's Department did contract with Wolf's Dive Supply to acquire quick gloves, glacier undergarments, and Arctic socks for the dive team. They provide that information into our financial software, but it is limited as to how much they can populate into that field. What Doug and his team are trying to do is create a clearer path that if you are going to acquire something, do you have to go through the quote process, do you have to go through the bid process, and in the event of a single source, that there's additional documentation beyond just the limited information that we get in the requisitions that justifies why this is needed, why it's a sole source item, and why the department is going after the individual goods. As far as the numbers to be inserted into that sole source policy, you know, from your staff's perspective, we're pretty flexible on what your comfort level is. But at its core, Commissioner Scott brought up the rec list, brought up the Wolf's Supply purchase, and that's the perfect example of why we believe that this type of form is absolutely needed. Because we have recs that are coming in every single week, and we are leaning on staff to do a better job of providing the who, what, where, when, why, and how. But it is limited as to how much can be inserted into the requisition field. And if this type of tracking is approved by the board, it will help us get better compliance from the various departments to clean up some of the question marks that come from the rec list. Again, you all tell us what numbers you're comfortable with, and we can make that happen.
And can I interject?
Yes.
Also, a separate part of this is I'm currently working on, I've been looking at the other counties as well as far as what thresholds they have and what's completed at what point in time, or what the requirements are. I've got that in a matrix. I wasn't prepared to sit down and share that today because I wanted to give it to you in a presentation form to try to help direct or help you to come up with a decision or a point at which you're comfortable with different things. I guess what I'm proposing right now is that anywhere between $1,000 and $19,999, there's written quotes, and it's required to obtain those. Anything over $20,000, you got to go out for bid. I mean, I can take it that simple. I don't want to do that right at this point, but it's a.
The quick follow-up to that statement is, and I'm not picking on law enforcement, but this, just in the last week, we've had a couple of conversations with the Sheriff's Department, and this Friday we'll be having a conversation with Animal Control. They have a long-standing relationship with a radio vendor who is based in the county and who has set up literally every law enforcement vehicle that we have. The same with Animal Control. They are ready to move forward with a radio upgrade, but they have one vendor and they have one style of radio. And for Doug and I, we're saying, well, you've got to get quotes. Well, how? That's the problem that we're facing, is that from our motor pool, we've had the conversation about, can motor pools set up the radio equipment? And to some degree, the answer is yes, but it is a process that will take up to 40 hours of staff time to do one radio install. And that's the difficult situation that we're facing, is that in some cases, we are reliant on just one vendor and one piece of equipment. And currently we don't have a good way to explain to the elected officials why we're going with just one sole source. We think this form should help clean that up.
And what I see, I don't have the bill list, but the bill that Commissioner Scott was asking about is already done, isn't it? When it's on the requisition, we've already ordered it, we may already have it, or it's on its way.
It should not, unless there's a purchase order that's been generated for it. That's
Okay.
policy.
Okay, good.
And to the group, as you've been discussing this, I've already emailed the Sheriff's Department and asked for more information on, the dive equipment. And I'll get that information and I'll share it with finance. But the dive equipment just paints the picture of how we do have some operations where we have very limited bidding options.
And we understand that. So did it say sole source by that? How did you know that? I don't have the bill list to look at.
Well, my knowledge, they did not go through the process of any type of quotation
Yeah,
from several sources. This is where they have obtained their dive suits in the past. Those dive suits are all fitted, so to the individual, and just because of that and the logistics makes a certain amount of sense, but I'll leave that to the sheriff's department to describe it any further than that.
okay, all right.
Madam Chair, I have a comment and
Yeah.
maybe a question. This is what is concerning to me as a board member of not just the finance, but of the county board as a whole. County board as a whole is given this requisition list. And I saw this and I compare this to one department in the county doing it the proper way and another department of the county not doing it at all in a proper way. And the reason I say that is just last week, Jill Adams came to us, sat in the chair where you're sitting at now, Doug, and went through a sole source and a complete reasoning of why to buy a beach rake,
Yeah,
because that was the best one. This company has worked with us. They're going to take things in on trade, everything.
yeah,
When I see this requisition for Wolf Diver Supply, and it is a sole source, it is not an emergency. So thus it is circumventing, I believe, our policy on purchasing. And this is what I'm concerned with, because if one department has to do this, then every department has to do this, in my opinion. And I think that's what we really need to look at, because if we're going to go to the $0 to $999 threshold, like you said, then this falls over that, and that would be getting competitive bids. Unless it was brought to the finance committee to say, it's this reason, this reason, this reason, this reason. And we heard that and we knew what it was about, then we would have the authority to say, yeah, go ahead, we agree, no, go out to bids. And that's what I'm concerned with. I think that if we have a policy, everybody needs to stick to that policy. That's it.
Madam Chair,
yes, Commissioner Freeman.
to Commissioner Scott's comments and also to staff's comments with regards to this. I think that that's, to Commissioner Scott's comments, I think that that's the purpose why we're presenting this form, is so that we can make certain that there's adherence and a written record for the reasonings behind why we're either doing sole sourcing or we went out for quote instead of competitive bid. And I will again state, I applaud the efforts of our financial service staff to be able to try and work through this so there's consistency and that departments understand that this is the expectation moving forward. To Doug and Brian's comments with regards to quote versus competitive and that threshold, I think I probably got ahead of myself, because really this document is a wonderful document that will help to put things in writing, but the policy really will be the nuances that we're kind of addressing at this point of what that dollar figure is. To me, yeah, that's where we're at. I would be comfortable looking at a lower threshold of that 20,000 mark for competitive bid, but certainly I would want staff's input on this, because there's a point where we get bogged down by the process instead of letting people just continue to do what's effective and efficient for county work. Those are my comments.
Thank you. Other comments? And seldom have I seen us with bids that are $20,000 or less, you know? And, you know, we have some limits on things where we say if it's 5,000, then the administrator has to be in it, you know, if it goes over, da, 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 da. We've done a number of things. I think I would put a circle around the dollar amounts and let's get the other part straightened out, because it's obvious that departments need a form so that they can say sole source or whatever it is and give the reason. Never mind about what it, not never mind, but you know what I mean, that what it costs is not the important thing, but that we know that it is sole source, and we didn't know that. There are many things happening that we don't know that, I think.
Madam Chair, I have one last comment.
Yes.
Looking at this form, Doug, if there is a way to shorten up the paperwork or whatever, I think the explanation justification box that is down there probably needs to be a little larger. That's just my comment on that.
Uh-huh.
Okay.
I certainly understand if you, I guess if you provided some instructions as to what is defined as technical and specialized consulting services or whatever on a separate document, that's fine. But I was attempting to put on here so that they understood what these things meant and they didn't try to go around, I shouldn't say go around, but to loosely interpret what some of these categories are for reasons. So, yeah, I can certainly do whatever you want to do with it.
And Madam Chair, just to follow up on this, I firmly believe that this document, if embraced by finance, will help to rein in some of the approaches that are occurring amongst the various departments. As far as the dollar amounts, they're in yellow for a reason. We've highlighted them to just try to gauge what finance is comfortable with. Last week, Doug and I sat with Todd Rainey from Motor Pool and the Chuck Height from the undersheriff, and we were having a conversation about bidding. We were having a conversation about vehicle purchases, and we were all just remarking on, in just 10 to 15 years, how much more expensive law enforcement vehicles have gotten. And if we were to lose one deputy's car and we didn't have anything already on order to replace everything in the car between the equipment, the in-car cameras, and to purchase the vehicle, we're knocking on $50,000. And at one point, back in 2006, when I was first ordering Crown Victorias for a police department, typically you were hovering between 20 and 25,000. So how that number has shot up so much is remarkable. And we plugged in numbers that we think are realistic. They're aligned with comps as far as other counties. But we also know that Berrien is unique, and we're not telling you that it needs to be 25 and 50. We're saying that these are numbers that could be realistic, but we're looking for feedback from this group.
Thank you. Thank you. Any other comments or thoughts about this? I think it's important that we have a form, and I looked at it, but I don't remember much. I'm gonna need the piece of paper in my hand first, and I can't make a copy of it. It looked like a lot of words. So I don't know if that's something that, can be pared down and like what Commissioner Scott was saying, make more area for the explanation or attach a sheet. I think attach a sheet would be fine, because with use the example of Jill Adams, she had a picture of the equipment and da, 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 da. So there may be, a need for more, and that's not too much to have. So Doug, what do you want us to do? Hello?
Oh, Annette had to step away, it looks like, and Brian is running to go unmute things.
Okay.
Needed the remote.
Okay. Doug, what do you want us to do?
I guess I have your feedback as it would stand right now. We'll go back and take a look at what we can make changes to this at, and we would make sure that it fits within the purchasing policy that we're in the process of developing, and we're going to be presenting to you here in the very, very near future. That purchasing policy is trying to not only deal with some of the fuzziness, if I can, in our current purchasing policy, but also incorporate other departments into it as well.
Doug, I don't mean to interrupt, but can I ask a question?
Yes, please.
Ezra and Terry and Mamie, I think that Doug probably needs a little bit of clarity. Are you guys comfortable with the figures, the numbers that are on there? Form aside, it sounds like, as I've been sitting here listening, the form generally is good. Certainly a statement on there that says, see any attached sheets, it would be fine also for further explanation. But are you comfortable with the numbers, the 25 and the 50? I guess I've been listening and kind of waiting for clarification to get some kind of a better bead on what your thoughts are on the 25 and the 50.
Any comments, commissioners?
Madam Chair, I think I made my comments of I would be more comfortable at a 20,000 threshold up to 50. Looking at past requisitions and competitive bids, I think it kind of falls in that area. But those are my comments. 20,000 would be my base.
Mm-hmm. I'd be fine with 20,000 too. And when I listened to the various counties that you had talked to, Doug, and that's what I figured you must have done some checking around. The 20 sounds good. If not, if it's more than that, then we're expected that it would be more than that. Then you're saying go out for bid. Is that what it means? Doug?
It means that this form basically says if the purchase is 20,000 or more, that if they are not going to go out for competitive bid, they have to fill this out and ask for a waiver. And you folks have to approve it or decline it.
Okay.
So if we set it at 20,000. Just so you know, this last year or the last few years, purchases of 20,000 or more, this excludes the road department, but purchases of 20,000 or more for the county, I'm looking at purchase orders about 380 to 420. Purchase orders are over $20,000. Some of those have to do with the drain maintenance projects or debt repayments, bank investments. So if you pull those out, you're going to be closer to maybe, I'm guessing around 100.
Okay.
That would be in excess of that you would want to make sure that you're bidding on.
That is not including blankets, right?
That's good.
That does not include, well,
So,
yeah.
Now, Madam Chair,
Yes.
I'd like a little clarification on something. Right now, it's greater than or equal to 25, and we're talking about 20, and I don't have a problem in that. But the 20 is for goods.
Yes.
The 50 is for services.
Yes.
And I'm not exactly sure what services means as far as why that threshold has to be that high, greater than $50,000 for services. if Doug, you could just kind of go through that, I'd appreciate that.
Again, this is purely, so it's setting up a straw man, so to speak. It can be whatever you want it to be. I threw that out there just as a straw man. If you want it to be 20,000 or over for anything, that's fine. You guys got to tell me what you want me to do. And I guess that's where I'm at.
Okay.
Okay, that's what, I just didn't understand that if we needed to have that second figure. That was my concern, because not only are we going to have to deal with this particular form, I think then we're going to also, in the same time, working with our purchasing policy to make sure that everything meshes together. So this is not something that's going to just jump out at us next week that we have to do something about. My next question or comment is, how are we going to handle with what I brought up today about the wolf diving, where nothing has come before finance? That's the next problem, that we should be advised of that as a finance committee. And I guess that's my deal. I understand this form. I love this form, and it's the basic start. But how do we deal with what we need to deal with until we approve this form and look at the purchasing policy?
Yeah, Ezra, I appreciate all the comments. One thing that I will say that kind of comes to mind, and maybe this is something that can be explained to me too. It's possible that sometimes there would be a sole source for goods and services combined in the event of installation of a chiller, for instance, or a heating unit where goods and services could be combined. And so it wouldn't be, it may be prudent just to go ahead and combine goods and services and put one figure on there rather than trying to differentiate. And so if you pick that figure, whatever figure you guys are comfortable with, I would be fine. And it may be just one, because it could be, it could be a combined thing. And then it becomes, there's really no question. How much is goods, how much is services? In the event we had to have some emergency work done in an elevator or a chiller or something, it becomes, it's very apparent. So just my thoughts.
And that's very good, John, in that the example of the car radio that they buy from a company and the same people install it, and they have always. That one number would be good, 20, to say 20 or 25. Does that make a difference in how much you all think it should be? Freeling and Scott?
I'm good with $20,000, and I like John's explanation of that. And I guess that's what I was wondering, why we have to have that double threshold. If we're going to make it 20,000, then it's 20,000 for goods and services, and then we can go ahead from there.
Okay.
It would be 20,000.
Madam Chair,
Yeah,
Yes.
I'm sorry, it'd be maybe for goods and or services when it's written up.
I didn't hear you, John. I didn't understand what you said.
When it's worded, probably 20,000, whatever figure is picked for goods and or services, meaning, it'd be combined. It could be either or a combination of, when it's.
Okay. Commissioner Freeling?
thank you, Madam Chair. John, I appreciate your comments, and I went back and I looked at the form. I'm really glad that Commissioner Scott pointed out that was for services at 50,000. Yeah, I think that a combined goods and services, 20,000 is still the threshold I'm comfortable with.
Okay.
Fair enough.
Doug?
Madam Chair.
Yes?
Yes.
That's what you hear what we're saying?
Yes.
So Madam Chair, it's officially 10:01. We do have some in the queue wishing to comment on today's finance meeting. I'll work with Doug. I think he's got a good understanding of the edits that are being requested by the Finance Committee. What we'll plan to do is just treat this as old business. We'll bring it back next week for further review and just continue the discussion until the Finance Committee is ready to say, yes, this works.
really good. And I remember him saying he wanted to do 3. He wanted to break something up and that there were 3 things that needed to be. So this is just one of them, correct?
No, ma'am. This is a form within the overall policy.
Okay,
Okay, we've got a purchasing policy that this would fit with, that we're going to be introducing, that this would fit within.
all right,
This is just one little piece.
okay. And so we want to go to the question. Is that what, Brian, we need to go to the question?
Yeah, so Madam Chair, what I'd like to do is bring this back to your next meeting. We'll continue to refine the document, and at some point in the near future, possibly next week, have it ready for the Finance Committee to approve.
Okay,
With that said, I'm gonna defer back to Annette. I know that she's got some items for the committee's consideration.
John, would you handle the meeting for me, please? Excuse me.
Yes, I'd be happy to do that. Brian, please go ahead.
Okay.
Okay, so we need to, you've taken a look at the weekly bills. That's your resolution F210218. I'm just looking for consensus to take this to the full board. I don't need a motion or anything.
I'll get consensus for those.
Good, okay. Then we need a motion for the approval of the February 4th, 2021 minutes.
Good, can we have a motion?
John, Commissioner Scott, I'll make that motion to approve the February 4th, 2021 minutes.
Thank you, Commissioner. Do we
And I
have
will support.
Thank you, Commissioner Freeling. We have a motion and a support. Any further discussion? Any changes to those? All right. All those in favor? Well, I guess we have to call roll.
Commissioner Hinkleman,
Yes.
Commissioner Scott,
Yes.
Commissioner Freeling.
Yes.
Okay, at this time then, commissioners, I need you to go ahead and unmute yourselves, please, and try to keep background noise down.
Zoom.
If by chance you get muted and you can't unmute, just, one of these things.
Thank you.
All
I
right.
have someone is here looking at the furnace. Thank you.
And just a comment while we're waiting on public comments. Brian, would you be able to see if you can get an answer on my requisition 49709 to find out whether or not that is a contract that we have with Wolf Diver Supply, or is it an emergency, or what is this for?
To the committee, I've already emailed over to the Sheriff's Department, and I'll happily pass along the information I get back.
And they may do one of those annual, purchase things that we do. It may be something like that. And then they use off of it all year.
All right, I'm waiting on an individual who is providing comments through the chat in our room here. In the meantime, there's one from Tony Benhart of Sodas Township.
Yes.
I agree totally with the process for the purchases of all departments.
Annette, I just got a notice that the YouTube feed is working and chat is working now.
Okay, I'm not able to see it.
Okay, never mind.
So, we can work on having somebody provide those. Just to make sure we're not missing any. I'm still waiting on the one that's in the room.
Can we accept the minutes? Has a motion made to do that?
We've already done
Yeah.
that.
Thank you. Thank you very much.
I don't know why I can't see it. Ah. Okay, I think I have it. Let's see what happens. Still don't have any from in the room.
Yes. Okay, I'll leave the door unlocked. Okay, thank you.
Okay, I'm not seeing this, this one responding yet. I've asked a couple of times, so, I believe we're good there, and I'm gonna just double check one more time and. Okay. I guess we don't have any besides, the one from Tony Bunner.
Thank you. And where are we on the agenda?
That is all that I believe we have for today.
Thank you all.
Thank you.
So are you adjourned? You're adjourned?
Brian, Administrator Bissett, you have anything more for us?
No, ma'am.
Thank you. Thank you, Stephanie, Deb James. Thank you, Commissioner, and Annette. I'll see you all in a few minutes.
Yep.
Thank you. Thank you.